Hi, this is Matt with AppliancePartsPros.com. Today we'll be showing you how to repair your appliance. Remember, anytime you work on an appliance, make sure it's unplugged or the circuit breakers are off so there's no chance of electrocution. In this video we're going to show you how to change out the dryer motor. It's going to be a very easy repair and should only take a few minutes to show you how to do it. If you already have one of these, great. If not, you can click on the link below or get it at AppliancePartsPros.com. When you open up the box, you're going to get the new dryer motor and the instructions. The main reason you'd be changing out the motor is if it's shorted out and it's no longer driving the drum. On the dryer motor, this is the pulley where the belt goes. This is the motor switch where all the wires hook up. And on this end we have the threads where the blower screws onto it. First thing we have to do is lift up the lint screen cover to gain access to the two screws. If you have the type of lint screen that has the cover built into it, just pull it out and remove the screws. Then we have to take a putty knife and about 2 inches in from each corner, there's a little locking tab that you have to press in and release so you can lift up the top. When you're pressing the release clip in, make sure you go above these two tabs and press in. If you go below them, you're not going to hit the release. Then we have to release the door switch, wiring harness. Take your screwdriver and release the clip. Then we have to remove the two screws that hold the front panel on. It's a 5/16 inch hex head. You can use a socket or a nut driver. Now that the two screws are out of the front panel and the door switch is disconnected, we can take the front panel off. So you can pull it forward a little bit, and it actually rests on two little clips down at the base of the machine. So you need to lift it up. And there's one on each side. If you have the type of dryer that has two panels, the large main panel and the smaller access panel, you're going to have to use a small screwdriver or a putty knife. Stick it behind the smaller access panel and pop it out. Once you pop it off, there's going to be two door springs, one on each side. If you have those, take them off. And then on the bottom of the big panel, there's going to be a screw on each side that you need to loosen up so you can pull the panel off. Don't take the screws all the way out, just loosen them enough to get the panel out. In order to get the belt off the pulley, press the pulley towards the outside of the dryer and take the belt off the pulley. Now that we have the idler pulley off the belt, we can grab the belt and support the drum and pull it out of the front of the dryer. Now we have access to the inside of the dryer so we can do the repair. In order to get the motor out, first thing we have to do is disconnect it from the blower. We have to release the rear clip. Take your small screwdriver, 1/4 inch nut driver, press down and release it. Once you have it off, you can lift it up and pull the other side off. To remove the blower, we have to use our 7/16 wrench to hold this end of the motor and our 13/16 inch wrench and hold the motor shaft to take the blower off. You're going to push down towards the middle of the dryer. It may be a little tight, so give it a few whacks. It should come free. Once you have it loose, you can hold it and just turn the shaft to get the blower off. Once you feel that it's loose, we can release this front clip. So all you have to do is take a flat screwdriver, press down on the front motor mount, and release it, and lift the motor out of its mounting bracket. You may have to wiggle it around. It may be kind of tricky, but just shake it free. If you can't get the blower off the shaft, you may actually have to chisel it off. Make sure you watch to the end of the video. We'll show you how to do that. All right, once you have the motor out, you can take your small screwdriver, pop off the wire harness. And now we're ready to put the new motor in. Here's the old motor next to the new motor. If you already have one of these, great. If not, you can get it at AppliancePartsPros.com. When you get this, it's going to come with the instruction sheet. You need to compare the pulleys on the two motors. If they're not the same, you may have to swap the old pulley onto the new motor. And also, if you have an older motor, you may have to use these wire connectors to rewire the new motor to fit in the old motor's application. To install the motor, the first thing we're going to do is hook up the wire harness, lock it into place. Then we have to put the motor into the motor mount. If you turn it with the wire harness up, it'll allow it to go onto the motor mount, and then you have to turn it so the motor switch is down at this angle. Also, there is a locking tab at 6 o'clock that holds it in place. Then we can put the front mount on, hook one side over, take your flathead screwdriver or 1/4-inch nut driver, and just pop the other side on. Now that we have the motor in, we can turn the shaft to put the blower back on. Use your wrench on the back and hold it while you spin the motor. And then use your both wrenches to give it a little snugness. Not very much. Once we have that done, we can put the motor clip back on. Just put one side on, and then take the other side and lock it into place with your screwdriver. Put the drum back in, lift it up by the belt, and guide it through the front panel. And then you have to set it down onto the roller wheels, making sure that you don't pinch the felt. Once you get the drum back on the rollers, you want to spin it and watch this felt and make sure none of the felt's folded underneath. Otherwise, your drum will leak out a bunch of hot air. So go ahead and lift up on the idler pulley and push it towards the side of the machine. Then create a loop in the belt. Which you can pull over the motor pulley. Now that we're done with the repair, we can put the front panel back on. Remember, the front panel locks onto these little teeth that stick out, so we need to line those up and then push the panel down on them. And while you're doing that, you got to remember to lift the drum up. And you may have to wiggle a little bit because you're going to have to get the drum to line up with that front seal so the panel pushes on all the way. So you may have to wiggle the drum a little bit to get it in all the way. Once you have the front panel on, you can go ahead and put your 5/16 screws back in and attach the front panel. Once you have both screws in and the front panel secure, we can reconnect the door switch wiring harness. When you're reinstalling the front panel on the type of jar that has two panels in the front, you have to first put the main panel onto the front, setting it onto the two screws, and then tighten those screws down, and then tighten down the upper screws. Reconnect the springs on both sides if you took them off. You can go ahead and slide the kick plate back onto the lower tabs and rotate it back in and snap it into place. With the front panel back on, we can lift the top back over and press it into place onto the locking tabs. Once we have those in, we can go ahead and line up the screw holes for the lint screen. There may be times when the blower wheel is so stuck onto the motor shaft that you can't get it off. and turning it from the inside of the dryer, all you do is round this out and you can't get it to come out. If you can't get it to turn from inside of the dryer, once you get the blower housing off back here, you can try to spin it by hand, having somebody hold the motor on the inside. If you still can't get it off, you may actually have to chisel it off so you can pull the whole motor out and cut it off the dryer shaft. So what you have to do is take a chisel, and there's a square right here in the plastic, and you can chisel around that so you can pull the motor shaft through the blower hole. And then you have to take a hacksaw and cut the remnants of the blower wheel off the shaft. Now that we're done repairing the appliance, we can plug it back in and take it for a test spin. Thanks for joining us for another successful repair brought to you by AppliancePartsPros.com. Check out our other repair videos on our site, Facebook, and YouTube.